Let's get one thing straight. If you're waking up tired, dragging through the day, feeling overwhelmed, uninspired, and stuck, you are not broken. You're just running a life on autopilot. You're living in reaction instead of intention. You're giving every ounce of energy to everyone else and none of it to yourself. That's not sustainable. But the good news, you don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to move to a new city, quit your job, or start from zero. You need tiny fixes, tiny intentional habits that create massive change over time. This is not about adding more to your plate. It's about doing small things that wake you up mentally, emotionally, physically, and remind you that you matter too. So let me walk you through 7 tiny habits that will absolutely change how you feel about your life. Habit 1, wake up and get out of bed immediately. You already know I'm going to say this. Don't hit snooze. When you hit snooze, you're starting your day in resistance. You're already saying, I don't want to face my life. Count backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Launch yourself out of bed. That single action, done consistently, rewires your brain for confidence and momentum. It builds trust in yourself. And trust in yourself is where all change starts. Habit 2, make your bed. I know, it sounds ridiculous. But this is not about tidiness. It's about control. When your outer world is chaotic, your inner world reflects that chaos. Making your bed is a micro action that grounds you in order, in intention. It says, I am someone who takes care of my space. I am someone who starts the day with purpose. Do it every morning, no matter what. Habit 3, high five yourself in the mirror. I don't care how weird it feels. Try it every single morning. Stand in front of that mirror and give yourself a damn high five. Why? Because you've spent years criticizing that person in the mirror, and you don't need more shame. You need encouragement. You need to feel seen. You need someone cheering you on, and that person is you. This habit boosts dopamine, lifts your mood, and resets your relationship with yourself. Habit 4, put your phone down for the first 30 minutes. The moment you wake up and reach for your phone, you are handing your focus, your peace, and your self-worth to the world. Instead, protect the first 30 minutes of your day like your life depends on it, because it does. Journal, breathe, stretch, think, just be with yourself. What you do in the first 30 minutes determines your mindset for the rest of the day. Habit 5, take a 10-minute walk alone. Walking clears the brain. It boosts mood. It helps you process thoughts that are cluttered and stuck. And if you do it without your phone, something magical happens. You get clarity. That 10-minute walk, it's not about fitness. It's about presence, about proving to yourself that you're still here, that you're still listening. Make it part of your daily rhythm. It works. Habit 6, say no once a day. Do you want more peace? Start saying no. No to overcommitting. No to energy vampires. No to anything that doesn't align with your values or your bandwidth. One clear no a day is a powerful act of self-respect. Remember, when you say yes to everything, you say no to yourself. And we're not doing that anymore. Habit 7, write down one win every night. Here's the truth. Your brain is wired to focus on what's wrong. It scans for mistakes, failures, and risks. That's called the negativity bias, and it's ancient, but you can hack it. Every night, take 30 seconds and write down one win from your day. One thing you're proud of. It could be I drank water, or I didn't yell at the kids, or I sent that scary email. You are training your brain to see what's working. And over time, that rewires your sense of self-worth and optimism. Wake up and get out of bed immediately. Let's talk about the first decision you make every single day, the moment your alarm goes off. Now, I need you to really hear me on this. That one decision, in that one tiny window of time, the moment your alarm rings, can define the trajectory of your entire day. And more importantly, it shapes who you are becoming. And if you're like most people, you're making the wrong decision. You're hitting snooze, you're pulling the covers over your head, you're giving your body a few more minutes of sleep. But what you're really doing is telling your brain you're not ready for your life. You're starting the day in hesitation, in avoidance, in self-betrayal, and that is a massive problem. Because how you start your day is how you live your day. And how you live your day is how you live your life. Now, I want to ask you something. What do you think it does to your mind, your confidence, your sense of control, your momentum, when the very first thing you do each morning is break a promise to yourself? Because that's exactly what hitting snooze is. You set the alarm last night with intention. You said, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and start fresh. You said, this time I'm going to do better. But the moment that alarm rings, you start negotiating with yourself. And let me tell you something. The longer you negotiate, the more likely you are to lose. Because that part of your brain, the part that wants comfort, the part that wants to stay warm, stay hidden, stay safe, it always wins when you hesitate. Always. This is why I created the 5-second rule in the first place. Because I was losing those negotiations every single morning. Back when my life was a mess, when I was unemployed, broke, drinking too much, sleeping too much, I'd hit snooze 5, 6, 7 times before I even got up. I'd lay there dreading the day, feeling like a failure before I even brushed my teeth. And I knew I needed to change, but no matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't seem to get out of bed on time. Until one night, I saw a rocket launch on TV. And I thought, maybe that's what I need, a launch sequence. So the next morning, when the alarm rang, I counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I got up, and something shifted. It was like I had interrupted the autopilot. I had shut down the part of my brain that wanted to hit snooze and fired up the part that takes action. And it worked. Not once. Every day. Over and over. That one tiny act of counting backward and launching out of bed changed everything for me. Because once you prove to yourself that you can win the first battle of the day, you start believing you can win others. You build mental momentum. You build trust in yourself. You build discipline. And here's something you need to understand about confidence. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's a skill. And you build that skill by keeping promises to yourself, starting with the smallest ones like getting out of bed when you said you would. Every time you do that, you're proving something important to your brain. You're saying, I can rely on myself. I keep my word. I do hard things. And guess what happens when your brain believes that? You stop overthinking everything. You stop needing motivation. You stop spiraling in doubt. Because now you have evidence that you can be trusted to act. And that is the foundation of self-confidence. Now look, I'm not here to make you feel bad if you hit snooze this morning. I'm here to give you a tool that works. So here's what I want you to do. Starting tomorrow morning, the moment that alarm goes off, do not hesitate. Don't think. Don't let your feelings vote. Your feelings are not the boss. You count backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch yourself out of bed like your life depends on it, because it does. This is not about discipline for the sake of discipline. It's not about being a morning person. It's about reclaiming control. It's about taking the first step every day toward the person you're trying to become. Now, some of you are thinking, but I'm tired. And I hear you. But let's be honest. You're not just physically tired. You're emotionally tired. You're tired of being stuck, tired of procrastinating, tired of feeling like you're behind. And the truth is, the only way to stop being tired of your life is to start changing it. One small action at a time. And this is the first action. Because once you launch out of bed, you've already proven that you're in charge now. Not your fear, not your excuses, not your comfort zone. You. This habit, it's tiny. But it's transformational, because what you're really doing isn't just getting up earlier. You're practicing courage. You're practicing follow-through. You're showing yourself that change is possible, that you can be the kind of person who shows up. And once you show up for yourself in the morning, you'll start showing up in other areas too. You'll stop ghosting your goals. You'll stop waiting for motivation. You'll stop needing permission. You'll realize that your life doesn't change in big, dramatic moments. It changes in the small decisions you make daily. And this is the very first one. So tomorrow, when your alarm rings, don't think. 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. That's it. That's how you change. One tiny decision at a time. One moment of courage, one launch. You've got this. And the best, it starts the very next time you wake up. So get ready, because your new life begins the second you stop hitting snooze. Let's go. Make your bed. Let's talk about a habit that sounds small, almost laughable, but I promise you it has the power to change the tone of your entire life. Make your bed. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking. Mel, how is making my bed going to fix anything? I've got real problems. I'm exhausted. I'm anxious. I'm behind on everything. Making my bed isn't going to change any of that. But that's exactly the mindset that's keeping you stuck. Because if you think you have to wait until the big stuff is fixed before you can feel better, you're going to wait forever. Real change doesn't start with overhauling your career, finding your soulmate, or suddenly waking up as a brand new person. It starts with one small action, an action that says to your brain, I'm in charge now. I'm taking control of my environment. I matter. That's what making your bed does. And this isn't about being neat. This isn't about impressing anyone. This is about something way more important, identity. It's about becoming the kind of person who shows up for themselves, even in the smallest ways. Because how you do the small stuff is how you start to do the big stuff. Let me tell you a story. There was a point in my life when everything felt completely out of control. I was sleeping late. I wasn't working. I was fighting with my husband. I felt like a failure in every possible way. And one day, I heard a retired Navy admiral give a speech about discipline. And you know what he said? If you want to change the world, start by making your bed. Now, at first I rolled my eyes, just like you might be doing now. But then he said this, if you make your bed every morning, you'll have accomplished the first task of the day. And that one completed task will give you a sense of pride and encourage you to do another task and another and another. And that stopped me cold because I realized I had no sense of pride in anything I was doing. I didn't feel in control. I didn't feel capable. And that's what was killing my motivation. That's what was draining my energy. Not just the chaos in my life, but the feeling that I wasn't capable of getting myself out of it. So I tried it. The next morning I made my bed. It took less than 2 minutes. No one saw it. No one praised me. But you know what? I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. I felt capable. I felt like, okay, I did that. Maybe I can do one more thing. And that's the whole point. Because your brain needs wins. It needs momentum. And if your life feels like it's spiraling, you've got to start small. You've got to give your brain a reason to believe you're turning it around. And making your bed, that's a tiny victory. It's a line in the sand. It's your way of saying, I'm not giving up on myself today. Let me break it down even further for you. When you make your bed, you're not just straightening pillows. You're sending a signal to your mind. I am not a mess. I care about how my environment feels. I take pride in my space. And that matters because your external environment is a mirror of your internal state. If your bed is a pile of blankets, your desk is a mess, and your clothes are in piles, that chaos gets mirrored inside your brain. You feel scattered, heavy, unmotivated. But when you create order, just a little, you create clarity, focus, a sense of control. And when life feels like too much control over anything is a win. Making your bed also creates a clean start. Even if the day ahead is stressful, even if you're anxious or overwhelmed, you know that one part of your world is calm. One corner of your life is taken care of. And for those of you who struggle with anxiety, depression, burnout, this matters more than you realize. Because the trap of mental exhaustion is believing that you're too tired to do anything. But the truth is, action creates energy. And the easiest way to get yourself moving, start with something small, something visual. Something that has an immediate reward, like making your bed. Now let's talk about identity for a second. Every habit you practice reinforces a message about who you are. When you scroll your phone for an hour in bed, you reinforce the identity of someone who avoids life. When you sleep in late, skip breakfast, and leave your room a mess, you reinforce the identity of someone who's overwhelmed and checked out. But when you get up and make your bed, you reinforce the identity of someone who takes care of things, who starts the day on purpose, who pays attention. And that's who you're becoming, one bed-making morning at a time. You want to feel more disciplined? Start here. You want to feel more confident? Start here. You want to prove to yourself that you can change? Start here. Because if you can't get yourself to do the small stuff, how are you going to believe you can handle the big stuff? Let me leave you with this. This habit might seem silly, but it's not about the bed. It's not about the blanket or the pillow. It's about the message you send yourself the moment you complete that first task of the day. I matter. My space matters. I can create order in chaos. I'm in control of how today starts. And once you believe that, everything else starts to shift. So tomorrow morning, don't wait. Don't roll your eyes. Don't tell yourself it doesn't matter. Make your bed. Not for your room, not for your partner, not for your mom. Do it for you, because it's the first domino. And once you knock that one over, the rest of your day starts to fall into place. You're not too far gone. You're not too tired to change. You're one small habit away from getting your momentum back. And it starts right where you wake up. Let's go. High five yourself in the mirror. I'm going to ask you to do something that might feel awkward at first. Something small, something strange, but something that if you do it every day can completely change the way you see yourself. I want you to give yourself a high five in the mirror every morning. That's it. Stand in front of the mirror. Look yourself in the eye and high five your reflection. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. That's ridiculous. I'll feel stupid. What's a high five going to do for my real problems? But let me ask you something that's far more important. When was the last time you were genuinely kind to yourself? When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, I see you, I love you, I've got your back? Because most people don't do that. In fact, most people look in the mirror and see everything they hate. They zero in on the weight, the wrinkles, the fatigue, the failure. They see everything they think is wrong. They criticize, they judge, and they start the day in a battle with themselves. That kind of self-talk, it's poison. It's programming your brain to believe that you are the problem. And the solution? It's simple, it's weird, but it works. A high five. Let's talk science for a second. Your brain is wired to associate a high five with encouragement, trust, partnership, celebration for your entire life. High fives have meant, I've got you, you're doing great, you can do this. When your kid gets up to bat in Little League, what do you give them? A high five. When your friend is nervous before a job interview, what do you do? High five. When your teammate crushes a goal, what's your first instinct? High five. A high five is more than a gesture. It's a neural anchor. It's tied to moments of resilience, effort, connection. So when you stand in the mirror, look yourself in the eye, and give yourself a high five, you are activating that same circuitry in your brain. You're telling your subconscious, I believe in you. I'm proud of you. I'm on your side. And let's be honest, most of us don't feel that way about ourselves. We've been taught to push, to hustle, to grind, but never to celebrate ourselves, never to encourage ourselves, never to stand in our own corner. We spend so much energy trying to prove our worth, trying to earn love, trying to make up for the things we think we lack. And in the process, we lose touch with the most important relationship we'll ever have, the one we have with ourselves. That's why the high five habit matters so much. Because it interrupts the pattern of self-criticism. It replaces judgment with encouragement. It creates a moment, just one moment, where you acknowledge your humanity, your effort, your presence. And when you do it consistently, day after day, your brain starts to believe a new story. Not, I'm broken, not, I'm not good enough, but I am worthy, I am trying, I am enough. Now let me tell you how this started for me. A few years ago, I was going through one of the hardest seasons of my life. I was anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, dreading. One morning I walked into the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and I saw this tired, puffy, drained woman staring back at me. And my first instinct, criticize. What happened to you? You look awful. You're failing at everything. That voice, that inner bully was loud, brutal, constant. But for some reason that day, I didn't say anything. I just stood there looking at her, me. And then I did something weird. I high-fived the mirror. I didn't plan it. I didn't know why I did it. But the second my hand hit the glass, something shifted. I smiled. I felt a tiny flicker of pride. I felt seen. And I kept doing it. Every morning, no matter how tired or overwhelmed or insecure I felt, I'd give myself a high five. And slowly that inner critic got quieter. That feeling of being at war with myself started to fade. Because for the first time in a long time, I was practicing self-support instead of self-sabotage. This habit isn't about pretending things are fine. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about choosing to stand with yourself instead of against yourself. You want to know why you're stuck? Why you feel unmotivated? Why you can't get going even though you have goals and dreams? Because deep down, you don't believe you deserve them. You don't believe in yourself, and you're never going to feel ready until you build that belief. The high five habit is how you start. One moment every morning to connect with yourself, not as someone to fix, but as someone who is worth supporting right now. No accomplishments required. No perfect life necessary. Just you. As you are, worthy, capable, deserving of your own encouragement. Let me give you a challenge. For the next 5 days, high five yourself in the mirror every single morning. No skipping, no excuses. And I don't mean a lazy, half-hearted gesture. I mean, look yourself in the eyes and give yourself that high five like you mean it. Notice what happens. At first, it might feel awkward. You might laugh. You might even tear up, but keep doing it because you're building a new habit. One that tells your brain, this person is worth rooting for. And here's the kicker. Once you start showing up for yourself like that, everything starts to change. You start holding your boundaries. You start speaking up. You start taking action. Because now you're operating from belief, not doubt, from encouragement, not fear. You stop waiting for the world to validate you. You start validating yourself. And that, my friend, is how you start to feel alive again. The person in the mirror. They've been through a lot. They've survived things you don't talk about. They've kept showing up even on the hardest days. They deserve to be loved, especially by you. So high five that person, not because they've done everything right, but because they're still here, because they're trying, because they need you to stop tearing them down and start lifting them up. This isn't silly. This is serious. This is retraining your brain to believe in you. So do it every morning for 5 seconds, because sometimes the tiniest act of kindness becomes the turning point for a tired soul. And sometimes the person you need most is the one staring back at you. Let's go. Let me be honest with you. If you're waking up every day and the first thing you're doing is grabbing your phone, you're setting yourself up to fail before you've even gotten out of bed. I know that sounds harsh, but I say it because I've lived it, I've felt it, and I've had to undo that exact habit in my own life. You don't realize how damaging it is until you stop doing it. And once you stop, your brain actually has room to breathe. Here's what happens. You wake up, your eyes are barely open. You're still half in a dream. And what do? You reach for your phone. You open Instagram or email or the news. Within 30 seconds of waking up, your brain is bombarded with content, with comparison, with stress, with dopamine spikes and cortisol dumps. And you haven't even brushed your teeth yet. You think you're just checking in, but what you're really doing is handing over control of your mind. You're saying, here, world, you decide how I feel today. You tell me what to worry about. You tell me what I'm not doing enough of. You tell me how behind I am, how successful everyone else looks, and what chaos is happening that I now have to carry all day. And then you wonder why you feel anxious, why you feel scattered, why you feel like you're already in a rush when you haven't even left the bedroom. I want to tell you the truth. Your mind is at its most vulnerable and most powerful in the first 30 minutes after waking up. It's like wet cement. Whatever you put into it sets the tone for the day. That means whatever you feed your brain first thing in the morning becomes the foundation of how you think, how you feel, how you behave. So if the first thing you feed it is negativity, distraction, and pressure, you're building your day on instability. That's why this habit, putting your phone down for the first 30 minutes, is not about digital detox or discipline. It's about reclaiming ownership of your mindset. Because if you don't train your mind in the morning, the world will do it for you, and it doesn't have your best interests in mind. When you break this habit, even just for a week, you will feel it immediately. Your mornings become calmer. You feel more grounded. You start making decisions instead of reacting to everything. You begin your day with clarity, not chaos. Look, I get it. It's hard to break. That phone is like a drug. And we're all addicted. Every ping, every like, every update gives you a little hit of dopamine. It's designed to be that way. The average person checks their phone over 80 times a day. Many of us, way more than that. And most of those checks happen in the first hour we're awake. But here's the truth. You can't afford to spend your most important mental window giving your power away to a screen. You need that time. You need that mental space to check in with yourself before you check in with the world. You need a moment of quiet before you step into the noise. You need to hear your own thoughts before you let other people's opinions flood your brain. Let me walk you through what happens when you protect your first 30 minutes. You wake up, you don't reach for the phone, you sit up, you stretch, you drink some water, maybe you journal, maybe you write down what you're grateful for, maybe you just breathe, you set an intention, you move your body a little, you make your bed, you decide how you want the day to feel, and then, and only then you check your phone. But now, you're not reacting. You're not spinning. You've already anchored yourself. You've created a foundation. So whatever comes in, you can handle it. You're not on the defense. You're in control. This one shift will give you back so much mental clarity. You'll stop feeling like you're behind all the time. You'll stop starting your day anxious and distracted. You'll stop letting everyone else dictate how your day begins. Think about it this way. Your phone connects you to the entire outside world. That's amazing. Yes. But it also means it connects you to everyone's demands, everyone's highlights, everyone's emergencies. You wouldn't open your front door to 100 people yelling at you before you even got dressed. So why are you doing it through your screen? You don't owe anyone your energy. First thing in the morning, not your email, not your boss, not your notifications. You owe that time to yourself. You owe it to your peace. You owe it to your goals, your focus, your mental health. Some of you might be thinking, but I use my phone for my alarm. I can't avoid it. Great. Then get a $10 alarm clock. Leave your phone in another room. Put it on airplane mode overnight. You don't need to be available to the world while you sleep. And you certainly don't need to let the world in the moment you open your eyes. Others might say, but I need to check in first thing. What if I miss something important? Let me tell you something. If it's truly urgent, someone will call. Most of what you check in the morning, it's not urgent. It's habitual. It's noise. You're not missing anything life-changing in those first 30 minutes, but you are missing yourself. That's the real loss. You're missing the chance to check in with how you feel, with what you need, with what matters to you. That 30-minute window is sacred. It's where your confidence is built, where your clarity lives, where your peace is protected. And once you reclaim that window, you'll be shocked at how much more grounded you feel during the day. You'll be more present, more focused, less reactive. You'll start leading your day instead of being dragged through it. So I'm challenging you. For 1 week, try it. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking. That's it. No scrolling. No news, no email. Set a timer if you need to. Use that time for you. Do one thing that connects you to yourself before you connect to the world. It could be stretching. It could be journaling. It could be making a cup of coffee and just breathing. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be intentional. Because every time you pick up your phone first thing, you reinforce the belief that the world's agenda matters more than your own. And every time you choose yourself first, even for 30 minutes, you reinforce that your time, your energy, and your mind are valuable. This habit might seem small, but it's not. It's foundational. It's the difference between starting the day in panic and starting it in power. You want more focus. You want peace. You want to stop feeling like you're drowning in distraction. Put your phone down just for the first 30 minutes and give that time back to the one person who actually needs it most, you. Let's go. Let's talk about one of the most underestimated, overlooked, and yet powerful habits you can add to your daily life. Taking a 10-minute walk alone. That's it. Just you. No podcast, no phone, no scrolling. Just 10 minutes of uninterrupted time with your own mind and your own body. Now, I know what you're thinking, Mel, I don't have time for that. Or what's 10 minutes going to change? But let me be clear, if you don't have 10 minutes for yourself, that's exactly why you need it. And if you think 10 minutes won't change anything, that's the kind of thinking that's keeping you stuck. You're not just tired because of your to-do list. You're tired because you never take a moment to disconnect from the noise. Your brain is overwhelmed. Your nervous system is overstimulated. You're carrying stress in your body, tension in your shoulders, mental fog in your thoughts, and you're rushing through your day as if this is just normal. Let me tell you something. Constant noise is not normal. Constant urgency is not normal. Being in reactive mode from the moment you wake up is not normal. But you've normalized it. We all have. You scroll while you eat. You listen to something while you get ready. You reply to emails while walking to your car. Every second of silence is filled. Every pause is avoided. Every space is occupied. And we wonder why we feel exhausted, distracted, and numb. This is where the 10-minute walk comes in. 10 minutes. No phone. No music. No podcast. Just you, your thoughts, and the world around you. Here's what happens when you do this consistently. First, your nervous system begins to regulate when you walk without distraction. Your brain starts to downshift. You're not reacting to anything. You're not being pulled in 10 different directions. You're just walking, and your body starts to relax. Your breath deepens. Your mind settles. Second, your brain starts to process. All that mental clutter, those decisions you've been avoiding, the problems you've been spinning over, the emotions you've been shoving down, starts to move. When you walk, your brain goes into a default mode that's actually designed for problem solving. That's why some of your best ideas come in the shower or on a walk, because those are the few places you're not distracted. Those are the moments when your subconscious has space to rise up and speak. Third, you reconnect with yourself. When you strip away the noise, the distraction, the external input, something powerful happens. You begin to hear your own voice again. Not the voice of comparison, not the voice of fear, your real voice, the one that knows what you want, the one that's been buried under the constant scroll, the one that's telling you the truth if you just slow down long enough to listen. Look, this is not about getting steps in. It's not about tracking anything. It's not even about exercise. This is about presence. This is about intentional solitude. This is about giving your mind a place to breathe and your body a chance to move without demand. You need this, especially if you're feeling stuck, especially if your creativity is gone, especially if you feel disconnected from your own goals. Because the answers you're looking for, they're not in your inbox. They're not on your phone. They're inside you. And you won't access them until you slow down long enough to hear them. You want clarity? Go walk. You want confidence? Go walk. You want peace? Go walk. You don't need a plan. You don't need to figure it all out. You just need 10 minutes. Walk around your block. Walk down the street. Walk in silence. Breathe. Notice. Be in your body. Be in your surroundings. That's where you start. And if 10 minutes sounds like a luxury, that's a sign your priorities are out of alignment. Because you're not too busy for 10 minutes. You're just not used to giving time to yourself. You've been trained to think everyone else's needs come first. But I'm telling you right now, the most generous thing you can do for the people you love is take care of yourself. And taking a walk, unplugged, is one of the simplest, most effective ways to do that. Now, some of you might say, but I don't like being alone with my thoughts. That's okay. That's honest. But it's also a reason to do it. Because those thoughts, they're not going anywhere. You can avoid them, but they'll still shape your decisions, your mood, your energy. You might as well face them. And you'll find that once you give those thoughts space, they start to soften and they start to make sense. Or sometimes they simply pass. The walk isn't always going to feel magical. Sometimes it'll feel boring. Sometimes your mind will wander. Sometimes it'll feel uncomfortable, but that's okay. The point isn't perfection. The point is presence. The point is consistency. You're not walking for results. You're walking for reconnection. You're walking to remind yourself that you are a human being, not a machine, not a robot, not a productivity algorithm. A human being who needs time, space, stillness, and breath. Let me tell you something else. The 10-minute walk isn't about escape. It's about return. Return to your body. Return to your senses. Return to your intention. And when you build this habit, when you protect this space, you start to return to your life. You'll notice things, the way the light moves through the trees, the rhythm of your feet, the way your breath changes. You'll notice your stress levels drop without trying. You'll notice that ideas start to come again, that clarity starts to form, that what felt heavy an hour ago feels lighter now. 10 minutes of walking in silence is not just a physical act. It's a radical mental shift. It's a daily reminder that you don't have to be plugged in to be productive. That silence doesn't mean stagnation. That space doesn't mean emptiness. It means healing. It means alignment. So here's what I want you to do. Starting tomorrow, carve out 10 minutes for yourself. Not 10 minutes for scrolling, not 10 minutes of multitasking. 10 minutes of walking, just you and your mind. No input, no performance, just presence. Put it on your calendar if you have to. Do it at lunch, do it in the morning, do it before bed. It doesn't matter when. It just matters that you do it. Because the more you practice this, the more grounded you'll become. The more connected to yourself you'll feel. The more you'll realize that clarity isn't something you chase. It's something you create. One walk, one breath, one step at a time. This is the pause that powers everything else. So go take the walk. Let's go. Let's talk about something most people struggle with but don't want to admit. You don't know how to say no. And the truth is, this one habit, the ability to say no once a day, might be the single most powerful thing you can do to change your life. Because when you can't say no, you end up living everyone else's life instead of your own. You say yes to plans you don't want to attend. You say yes to favors that drain your time and energy. You say yes to your inbox, to your phone, to every little request that drops in front of you. And before you know it, you're burned out, resentful, tired, and feeling like you never have time for yourself. You've got to stop. This habit is not about being rude. It's not about being selfish. It's about getting your priorities straight. It's about reclaiming your time, your boundaries, and your self-respect. Because every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. Let me break it down. Every single one of us has limited energy, limited focus, and limited time. And most people are giving it away like it's unlimited. You answer every text. You respond to every email. You accept every invitation. You take on tasks that aren't your responsibility. You're constantly available, constantly reachable, constantly accommodating, and it's exhausting. If your default answer is always yes, it's time to ask yourself, what is that costing you? It's costing you peace. It's costing you focus. It's costing you sleep, joy, your workout, your dreams. It's costing you your life. Every yes you give is a withdrawal from your energy bank. And if you're not intentional about where you're spending that energy, you're going to feel depleted all the time. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel like you're running, but getting nowhere. That's why this habit saying no at least once a day is so powerful. Because when you say no to something that doesn't align with your goals or your energy, you're saying yes to yourself, yes to rest, yes to focus, yes to the gym, yes to your creative work, yes to your kids, yes to your peace. That's the mindset shift. You're not just saying no to something or someone, you're saying yes to what matters more. And for most people, this shift requires courage. Because let's be real, we're conditioned to please. We're taught that saying no makes us difficult, unhelpful, cold, or selfish. We're told that nice people say yes, that good people are always available, that we should be team players. Go the extra mile, be the helper. And that messaging, it's what keeps you trapped. Because while you're being the helper for everyone else, no one's helping you. You're exhausted, overextended, quietly drowning, but smiling through it so no one thinks you're not nice. That ends today. You can still be kind and have boundaries. You can still be helpful and say no. You can still support others and protect your own energy. You do it by making a decision just once a day to say no to something that drains you, distracts you, or derails you. Maybe that means saying no to a social event when you need rest. Maybe it's saying no to a meeting that could have been an email. Maybe it's saying no to a coworker who always dumps their work on you. Maybe it's saying no to your kid's endless list of requests when you need 10 minutes of quiet. Maybe it's saying no to the voice in your head that says you have to do everything for everyone. And yes, people might not like it at first. They might push back. They might call you difficult. That's okay. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them adjust. You are not responsible for managing other people's reactions. You are responsible for managing your life. And every time you say no, you're reinforcing something powerful in your brain. You're saying, I matter too. My time is valuable. I have the right to choose where my energy goes. That is how you build self-respect. That is how you take your power back. Let me share a quick story. A woman in one of my workshops told me she had never said no to her boss in 10 years. Not once. She took on everything. Worked late, missed vacations, covered for everyone else, and finally, her body broke down. She ended up in the hospital with stress-related health issues. And do you know what her boss said when she returned? I had no idea you were struggling. Why didn't you just say something? She didn't say something because she was afraid of being judged, afraid of losing her job, afraid of disappointing people. But here's what's even scarier. Losing your health, your peace, your time, your life, because you can't say one little word no. That's why this is a daily habit. Not once a week, not when it's convenient, daily. You need to practice this muscle. You need to get comfortable with discomfort. You need to trust that saying no doesn't make you mean, it makes you smart. And you don't need a long explanation. You don't need to justify it. You don't owe anyone a story. You can say, I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. Thanks for thinking of me, but I'm going to pass. I've got too much on my plate right now. That's it. You don't have to over-explain. You don't have to feel guilty. And you don't need permission. Here's your permission. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to put yourself first. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. You'll start to feel more confident. You'll start to feel more energized. You'll start to feel more in control because you are. So let's make this practical. Today, right now, what is one thing you can say no to? Maybe it's a task that isn't your responsibility. Maybe it's an invite you don't want to accept. Maybe it's a favor that feels like too much. Say no. Not tomorrow. Today. Practice. Because this isn't just about time management. It's about life alignment. It's about making sure your energy is going where it counts. One no a day can change your life. Because behind every no is a deeper yes to your peace, your time, your growth, your goals. This is how you stop living on autopilot. This is how you take back your schedule. This is how you build a life that feels right to you, not just one that looks right to everyone else. So tomorrow morning when the day starts pulling at you, I want you to remember this. Every yes costs you something. Make sure it's worth the price. And if it's not, say no. Let's go. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. How you start your morning sets the tone for your entire day. And no, I'm not talking about waking up at 5 a.m., meditating for an hour, or drinking green juice. I'm talking about one simple sentence. One sentence. Every morning. That's it. Set a one-sentence intention. Why? Because most of us start our day in reaction mode. You roll out of bed and the day starts hitting you. Your phone lights up. Notifications come in, someone needs something. You're rushing to get out the door, already running late, already overwhelmed, and your brain, it's scattered, no direction, no purpose, just noise. Then you wonder why you feel anxious, why you feel lost, why you get to the end of the day wondering what you even did. Here's the truth. When you don't set an intention, you drift. You react instead of act. You respond instead of lead. You go through the motions without ever checking in with what actually matters to you. That's why this habit setting, a one-sentence intention, is a game changer. It's how you interrupt autopilot. It's how you shift from chaos to clarity. And no, it doesn't have to be deep or complicated. You're not writing an essay. You're claiming your direction. Something like, today I will stay calm no matter what happens. Today I will listen more than I speak. Today I will not let fear make my decisions. Today I will be proud of how I show up. That's it. One sentence. But here's the secret. That sentence becomes your anchor. All day long, life is going to try to knock you off course. Someone's going to say something that pisses you off. You're going to get an email that triggers you. You're going to hit a setback that makes you want to quit. And when that moment hits, you've got a choice: react from emotion or return to your intention. You remind yourself, I set the tone. I decide how I respond. I know what matters to me today. That's the power of intention. It's not fluff. It's direction. It's mental focus. It's a decision you make on purpose instead of letting the day hijack your mindset. Look, your brain needs a job. If you don't give it a focus, it will default to survival mode. It will search for danger. It will amplify fear. It will ruminate on the past. It will spiral into comparison and worry. But when you say, this is what I'm about today, you give your brain a job to do. It starts filtering the day through that lens. It looks for opportunities to reinforce that intention. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. It's called the reticular activating system. It's a part of your brain that acts like a filter. Whatever you decide is important, your brain will try to prove you right. So if your intention is, today I will stay focused, guess what? Your brain starts scanning your environment for things that support that focus. You become more aware of distractions. You catch yourself before you get off track. You redirect. Same thing if your intention is, I will speak up today. You'll start noticing opportunities to raise your hand, share your idea, voice your opinion. And when fear rises, your intention gives you courage. It's your personal compass. It's your inner GPS. And you've got to set it every morning. Now, some of you might say, Mel, I'm too busy in the morning to think about that. That's nonsense. You're not too busy. You're just not used to doing it. This takes 10 seconds. You can do it while brushing your teeth. You can do it while making your bed. You can do it in the shower, while tying your shoes, while making coffee. I write mine on a Post-it note and stick it on my mirror, or I'll say it out loud to myself in the car. You don't need a quiet room and a candle. You just need a moment, a pause, a decision. Because if you don't decide how you want your day to feel, the world will decide for you and you probably won't like the result. This is about agency, ownership, power. This is about you choosing how you want to show up. And you don't need to get it perfect. Your intention doesn't have to sound poetic. Just make it real. Make it yours. Some days mine are simple. Today I will not snap at anyone, no matter how tired I am. Some days they're fierce. Today I will not tolerate my own excuses. And some days they're gentle. Today I will rest without guilt. The point is not perfection. The point is awareness. When you set an intention, you're saying to the universe and to yourself, I'm awake. I'm aware. I'm not just going to drift today. And when life gets loud, when the pressure builds, when fear creeps in, you come back to that sentence. You hold on to it like a rope, and it pulls you back to yourself. Let me tell you a story. A woman I worked with had a habit of getting totally overwhelmed by work stress. She'd walk into the office calm and collected, but by noon she was snapping at her team, feeling frantic and beating herself up by the end of the day. We talked about this intention habit. She started small. Every morning before she opened her inbox, she said to herself, I will lead with patience today. That's it. At first, it felt like it wasn't working. But slowly, she noticed a shift. She caught herself before overreacting. She paused before responding. She felt less guilt at the end of the day. Why? Because her mind had a job. She was practicing awareness. That's what intention does. It puts you in the driver's seat. And when you do this daily, day after day, it starts to change how you see yourself. You stop being the person who's always behind, always overwhelmed, always reacting. You start becoming the person who is clear, intentional, aligned. That builds confidence. That builds momentum. That builds a life you're proud of. So here's the challenge starting tomorrow. Before you do anything else, set your one sentence intention. Say it out loud, write it down, look yourself in the mirror and speak it. You are the one who sets the tone for your life. Not your boss, not your inbox, not your calendar. You. So take the wheel, claim your focus, name your direction, and lead your day with purpose. Let's go. Write a powerful conclusion of this speech, finish with a good luck and thank you message. Let me bring it all together for you. You don't need to overhaul your life to start feeling better. You don't need some massive dramatic transformation to start living differently. What you need are tiny intentional fixes, habits that reconnect you to your power, your peace, and your priorities. That's what we've talked about. You high-five yourself in the mirror not because it's cute, but because it retrains your brain to see yourself with compassion. You put your phone down for 30 minutes, not because you're weak without it, but because you're too strong to start your day in reaction mode. You take a walk alone, not to escape your life, but to reconnect with your mind. You say no once a day, not to push people away, but to reclaim your energy and respect. You set a one-sentence intention, not to control everything, but to direct your focus on what truly matters. These aren't big things, but they do something big. They wake you up. They remind you that you're in charge. They shift the momentum of your life. One decision, one choice, one moment at a time. That's how real change happens. Not overnight, not from outside validation, but from the inside where you choose again and again to show up for yourself. So I want you to hear me loud and clear. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are one small decision away from a better day and one habit away from a better life. Start now. Pick one thing. Try it for a week. Watch what changes. You've got everything you need. You've got the tools. You've got the clarity. Now you just need the courage to take that first tiny step. So go do it. Good luck and thank you for showing up today. You're worth it.